the next 57 minutes or so with you. So my name is Mark Walton. I work at LinkedIn. My day job is a global client director, is the job title, which is like a senior sales role, looking after a few of our largest global clients. I also sit on our social impact board and co-lead the work we do with young people, charities and organisations supporting young people. And it's kind of on that basis got introduced to Charlotte and team, and here today to share a bit with you about LinkedIn and how you can think about it as careers leaders. Help you understand how to build your network on LinkedIn, how to advance your career, and how to talk to students or young people about how they can think about LinkedIn as well. So as mentioned, if you've got questions, feel free to pop them in chat. Also very comfortable if you want to come off mute and ask a question at any point on the way through, feel free to do that. Or if you prefer to stick a virtual hand up, because I can't see everyone's face, but if you raise your hand in Teams, then I'll be able to see that and can pause and answer questions at any point on the way through. Happy with that as well. So we've got quite a lot of content to cover today. So I'll go through some of it reasonably quickly. You will have the slide deck afterwards, because there's some of it's kind of quite practical for how to do things on your profile, how to edit stuff. So those slides I'll go through fairly quickly, because you'll have the slides and be able to work through those steps in your own time afterwards, or to use that to work through with students or young people. But with that, let's make a start. Sabrina's got the camera off, all good. All right. So what we're going to cover today, so 7 sections to what we'll cover. Kick off with an introduction of LinkedIn, what it is, what we're about, why the platform exists. Then we'll think about your brand and your identity, your professional brand, your professional identity, and then how you can build that on LinkedIn, primarily through your profile. And then, as well as your profile, your activities, actions, and behaviors on the platform. So some of those activities and actions are things around building your professional network, and then using your network to connect with opportunity. And that's deliberately wide in terms of connecting with opportunities. There's lots of different types of opportunities you can connect with on LinkedIn, through LinkedIn, depending on what where you're at in your life, your career, and depending what your objectives are from your time on the platform. One of them, particularly for students and young people, will be around searching for jobs, internships and universities. For yourselves, that may be for job search at some point in time as well. And then there's a little bit of extra credit around groups, and just to cover off privacy and settings. So you'll know where to go and how to look at your privacy and settings to make sure everything's set up so you're happy and comfortable with everything on the platform that is working and set up in the way that you want it to be, to help you get the most of your time on the platform. So then, first off, in terms of what is LinkedIn. So can't see everyone's hands, so I'd normally kind of like do a little raise of hands, how many people have got a LinkedIn profile, but hopefully many of you, if not all of you, have got a profile. Hopefully, or some of you maybe don't. So anyone not familiar with LinkedIn or doesn't have a profile, you'll have heard of social media platforms, of course. They kind of around the theme of a donut. This is a little look at, kind of light-hearted look at what you might do on some of the social media platforms with donuts. So Facebook, you might like donuts. Snapchat, you might want to watch me eat a video of a donut, watch me eat a donut. Instagram, be a cool photo. Pinterest, recipe. TikTok, maybe watch this video of a dancing donut, etc. So more social, family, friends, kind of fun kind of things. What do you think about LinkedIn? It's very much a professional platform, a professional mindset on the platform. So again, maintaining that kind of donut theme on LinkedIn, you might talk about your aspirations to operate a donut franchise one day, or your skills around donut production and sales, your experience in making donuts, etc. So very much that professional mindset and context for LinkedIn that is critical. And within that professional kind of mindset and context, really important to build your professional network to help you be able to connect to opportunities. There's just a few little kind of teasing stats in here about some of the activities on the platform and some of the numbers. So on LinkedIn, 3 people hired every single minute on the platform. There's over 57 million employers on the platform. You may have seen in the press a couple of weeks ago, literally just 2 weeks ago, we passed 1 billion people on the platform now. So over 1 billion members on LinkedIn, representing or coming from over 200 different countries around the world. And one of the many things you can do on LinkedIn is to join groups. So groups can be very broad, generic groups on topics ranging from anything from HR to sales to teaching, very wide kind of ranging groups. And then we of course have very niche, very specific kind of groups. And there's over 2.9 million groups that are on LinkedIn. So just again to be aware of, there are these groups there. You can find groups for any kind of topic you'd be interested in these days, and join the professional conversation that happens within those groups if you fancy. So we mentioned we'll start off with your professional brand. So thinking about your professional brand, we'll look at three, I'll help her kind of answer questions or look at three key topics in this section. So first off, what makes a good brand, how you can think about building and identifying your brand, and the value of your brand in terms of showing that you're the right choice for something, for an opportunity of some sort. And we'll cover more of that when we get there. So what makes a good brand, first of all? So again, many of you might be familiar with current roles, past lives. A good brand, a brand really is a company's promise to its customer. It tells customers what they can expect from the products and services that they're going to buy from that company. And it also helps to differentiate that company and its products from its competitors, shows how its products are unique from its competitors. So to give an example of that, we look at Nike versus Adidas. Don't know if you've got a favorite brand out of the two of them or not, but a lot of people have very strong opinions and strong kind of feeling of affinity with one or other of those brands, and probably not both of them typically. I see that in my house, actually. My kids, my son is very much, well, because of his feet, he's got quite wide feet. It'd be more Nike for the shoes, but Adidas for the clothing. My daughter is very much Nike for everything. She would not want to wear Adidas at all whatsoever. Yeah, and she's 13 years old. So how she's kind of come up with those ideas and got that really strong kind of perception, not quite sure. But it will be kind of some of the messages and branding that she'll have seen, people she'll have seen wearing those different shoes, trainers, clothing, etc. from the brands. But it's that kind of underlying feeling that you have with them, that helps you decide which kind of trainers you like more, what is the kind of the brand promises or the images and the feelings that you associate with each of those brands, which will come from all the different things you'll have seen and heard from that brand, and what you can expect from a Nike Air versus an Adidas high top, how are they different. So that's kind of giving an example of the brand in a trainer kind of context, brands you'll be familiar with. Important to realise that we will then also have our own professional brand. So again, I'm sure many of you will be familiar with this. Some of your students and young people may be less so. This kind of concept of them having their own professional brand, maybe newer to a lot of them. So it's important to help both you and the young people to understand that we do each have our own professional brand. And similarly with the consumer brand that we just talked about, our professional brand is really our promise to those around us. Some people say your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So how you're perceived by other people. But it helps people to understand what they can expect from working with you, from being around you. And it helps showcase the unique skills, knowledge, experience, expertise, personality, character that you have that differentiates you from other professional people in the workplace, in school, applying to university, whatever stage of life you're at, or whatever it is you're looking to do. And so the really key message is that by being aware of your brand, that you have a brand, whether you think of it that way or not, we do all have our own personal professional brand. Being conscious of that and knowing that exists, then we can take a more conscious ownership of that, and we can help to shape our brand by the way that we present ourselves to others, the way that we interact with others, the things we do, the way we show up, what we do on a day-to-day basis in a professional context. And so the value of your brand, diving into that a little bit deeper. So a lot of it in a professional context is about why you? Why would anyone choose you? Whether that's as an employer, someone accepting a connection request, someone wanting to spend time with you from a professional networking perspective. So how does an employer, coach, or university decide who to choose? How do you make yourself stand out from other people? What's your promise to your employer, to your team, or to the university that you're applying to? What can they expect from you, and how are you unique and different to the other people that they might be seeing for the same position or interacting with? How can you be more unique, more valuable to them, mutually valuable to each other, compared to other people they might be coming across? So some of the ways you can show that you are the right choice through defining your professional brand and positioning yourself on LinkedIn. So your brand includes who you are now. So that's includes skills that you've built up over time. And this focus on skills increasingly important in the world of work now. There's a lot of companies that we work with talking about skills first, strategies for hiring, for learning, for upskilling within their organizations. Part of that's driven by kind of desire to be more equal in terms of the access to opportunities that they're providing. It's helping yourselves, but also young people to understand that you do have a range of skills, and a lot of them will fit certain specific scenarios, but a lot of them will be transferable to different kind of professional roles, different types of jobs as well. Really important. So the skills that you gain through school or university, any work experience that young people might have done, specific skills that they've learned in different jobs, different classes, include skills learned through voluntary work as well here, as well as paid work. All of those really important to building out that fully rounded picture of you as a professional. The network that you have, how are you to be around and work with, as told by the people you know. And we'll look at shortly how you can get some referrals and recommendations from people you know in your network, which is a great way to help others more broadly to understand that. In terms of information and knowledge that you have, what kind of areas do you have expertise and wisdom in? From a more personal values perspective, what are the things that are important to you and give you meaning to your life? In a professional context, always bring it back to that professional context on LinkedIn. And then, for yourselves, this would be true, but particularly for young people, what are your goals? What are your aspirations from a career? What do you aspire to be doing over the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Helping showcase that through your profile. That's a really important element of your brand to help people understand who you are and what you aspire to be in the future. So taking those kind of high-level concepts of brands, my personal professional brand, what is it? How's it going to help me? Some of the elements of the brand that we just talked about. We'll now move into showing you how you can build those out or showcase those through building out your LinkedIn profile. And so 4 sections to this: setting up your account for anyone who doesn't yet have a LinkedIn account. It's free to get an account, so I'll show you how to get that set up. Highlight the differences between your LinkedIn profile versus a typical traditional CV. The importance of a photo, and then some key parts, some key sections of your profile, what they are, the value they'll bring, and how to edit them. So setting up your account, super simple. There's a link here, so you'll have these slides after. So you can go to linkedin.com, and there's what's called a wizard that will guide you through setting up your profile if you haven't already done that. I did mine a long time ago now, so I'm not familiar with the kind of latest sign-up process, but there's a kind of a wizard that guides you through the process of the different steps and stages of setting up a profile and having a good profile to get going. You can do that on desktop, or you can download the mobile app on Android or Apple. Thinking about differences between your LinkedIn profile versus the typical traditional CV, so really big differences. So call out a few of them. CV typically is done for a particular job, a particular function, potentially a specific job opportunities that you're applying to, very customized to that specific situation. Your profile on LinkedIn speaks to all potential employers and all professional people who might want to interact with you and engage with you, not just to a single employer or a single person. There's a lot more variety or richness to your profile on LinkedIn, giving more detail about who you are as a person, as a professional, with more visibility into your skills, the kind of projects you've worked on, your interests, your certifications, things you're doing and saying and sharing on the platform if you're active on the platform. The profile allows other professionals and employers to interact with you, to learn from you, to contact you, to network with you. It also contains recommendations and endorsements that you can get from your network. So it's one way I think of your profile is as a living, breathing representation of your professional self, which is very different to the static kind of traditional CV. So a few sections to think about, in particular, some tips. I think I was just muted, but I'm back again now. Thumbs up if you can hear me. I can see Caroline. Yeah, cool. Thank you. So in terms of a photo on LinkedIn, we talk about having a professional photo. By professional, we don't mean having to go and pay for a photo to get it paid for professionally, just one that represents you well professionally. So again, for yourselves, also for students, really important to help them understand, young people to understand that you want that photo to be in a professional context. So often these days, the first impression an employer or university will have of you, the first kind of visual impression, will be your LinkedIn profile. So if you apply to a job, if you apply to go to university, most people these days, the first thing they'll do after getting an application, or one of the first things they'll do, will be to check out your profile on LinkedIn to see what you're about. So having a photo that provides a good first impression of you through your profile, really important. So just having the simple act of having a photo, members with profile photos receive up to 21 times more views of their profile and 9 times more connection requests. So simple action of just uploading a photo improves the value you can get through your time on the platform just by having that photo on there. So a couple of key tips: use a background that isn't distracting, dress for the job you want. So unless you want to be a deck chair attendant, don't be lying on a beach somewhere. Have it kind of dressing for the job you want. Smile, have a friendly kind of open expression, and sometimes say head and shoulders, but you want to make sure your face takes up the majority of the frame. That's the kind of ideal sort of profile photo. And then thinking about your editing your profile, your profile basically tells the story of you in your words. So how you can edit your profile at the top of, so this is based on the desktop. It'll be slightly different if you're doing this on mobile, but on the desktop, you go to, you can see here, just looks a bit small, but the me icon, it's kind of the top, little bit to the right of center of your page on LinkedIn. Click on that and then click on view profile. That'll take you to your profile and you'll be able to then click on any of the pencil icons, any of the sections to edit it. Also on the right hand side of the page, you can click add a new profile section. If there's a section that's not there currently, it will let you know there's other sections you can add if you want to. And then you can begin adding and editing to your profile as you like. So key bits to think about adding: your location, not specific address, but just like the town. So for me, I live in St Albans, so I have St Albans on my profile, might be London, wherever for you live, where you live. And the industry that you work in, important one as well, because that's, and why some of these things are important is that when people are trying to find, when they're searching for other people who they might want to contact about an opportunity or might want to network with, might be a job opportunity, might be a career networking or kind of business networking type of conversation they'd like to have, they'll search for people and they'll search based on names. So if they, for people they know, that's fine, nice and easy for you to be found that way, but they'll also search for keywords. So some of those keywords will be things like where's someone based, what industry they're working in, what kind of work experience they do, what kind of companies, industries have they worked for, what kind of volunteer experience, what kind of educational qualifications and certifications have they got. Also skills. We talked about skills earlier, really important to build those out on your profile. That's another way that people will search for people they want to find or connect with about opportunities, is to search for people with specific skills and specific locations. So think about building out those sections on your profile. Super simple to do when you're in the platform, and on your profile page, very easy to add and edit to the add those sections and edit those sections when you're there. And you can also, it's a little note there, you can also choose whether you want to display your education in your intro or not, up to you. Another important point in your profile, when those again who are on LinkedIn, you'll be familiar with this, when you look at somebody's profile on LinkedIn, top left of the page, you'll see their profile photo, their name, and then what we call your headline just underneath your name. So headline is really important. It's an important opportunity to show who you are, not just what you do. So as I mentioned before, my job title is a global client director. I do not have global client director in my job title. Sorry, my headline, that is my job title. I have that in my job work experience section. But for the headline, I have something that just captures a bit more about me. And there's a few examples on this slide that you can see. People have got the headline of design thinking meets social impact meets business strategy. Someone else got empowering the global workforce at LinkedIn. Curriculum designer, facilitator. So different ways of showcasing very shortly, sharply, succinctly who they are, not just what they do. So some key questions to ask yourself when you're writing a headline covered there. If this is the only thing that someone sees about me, what does it say about me? What's that? As well as my profile photo making a good impression, what's the impression my headline's going to make on them? What they're going to take away from that? Does it represent my professional brand? Help showcase why I'm unique? Does it capture potentially, particularly if you're interested in moving kind of roles, careers, companies, organizations, does it capture what a recruiter would care about? That might be particularly important for young people if they're coming out of schools, colleges, etc., and looking for their first footsteps in the world of work. And then the next section, so you've got profile photo, name, headline. The next section that people will see under that is your summary. So one way to think of your summary is your elevator pitch of you, what you're about. So it's a great place to be able to communicate your professional brand and showcase your experience. And so it's a very simple, easy formula that we recommend here. You can build it out however you like, but a simple formula that we recommend as a start point. So a couple of sentences about who you are, 3 to 5 sentences about your experience, kind of key skills you've learned through that experience, what you're passionate about from a professional perspective, and then particularly for kind of relevant for everyone, but especially relevant for younger people, that future goals, that aspirational piece. So 1 to 2 sentences about what their future goals and aspirations are in terms of going to university or the type of company, role, industry they'd like to work within, and how other members can engage you. You want to include a summary of at least 40 words. So wants to be fairly succinct, but minimum 40 words. So if you've got a minimum of 40 words, then it will help you show up in the search results of other members when they're looking for people like you with skills, experience, expertise, passions, hobbies, etc., like you. And then move into a section on building your professional network. So again, four pieces we'll cover here. So think about building your professional network, how you can discover existing connections that you have who are already on LinkedIn, how you can search for new connections, but thinking about expanding your network strategically. So one little stat that might be kind of interesting, thinking about your network and the importance of it, 50% of hires result from a personal connection. So just one small statistic of why it's important to build out your network. So to discover existing connections, very simple to do. So again, this is based on the desktop version. At the top of the page, any page on LinkedIn, you'll have this section, My Network. So click on there in the top navigation, and then you'll find people you already know. So there might be friends and family, current and former colleagues, current and former managers. You can add personal contacts. You can import from if you've got Hotmail account, Yahoo account, Gmail account, whatever. You can import your contacts from there and then see who of your contact is already on LinkedIn, and then reach out to whoever of those you want to build your network fast through people that you already know. And as it mentions, there's a lot of AI supporting a lot of the search and recommendation kind of functionality on LinkedIn. So the people you may know feature, it's an algorithm that's running basically. It improves over time as you build your network. So as it sees more of your actions, activities, behavior, people you're connecting with, engaging with, things you're doing on the platform, it'll be able to make more intelligent suggestions and recommendations about people you may know and people you may want to get to know. You can also, of course, search for new connections. So at the top of any page on LinkedIn, when you're on the desktop, there's the search bar. So you can use that search bar in the top navigation to find people in the way that we talked about earlier. So we talked about earlier the importance of building out your profile to showcase you, your experience, your location, the industry, companies, job titles, skills you've got, etc. You can use those same things when you're searching to find new connections. So you can search obviously by individual name if you know exactly who you're looking for. Or you might want to look for people at a certain company, maybe people doing particular types of jobs at particular types of companies. There might be people who'd work in HR or might be kind of do roles related to employability. They might be able to talk to and engage with about work experience type of opportunities or internships or whatever for young people you might be supporting. You can search by by location and obviously by keyword. When you're searching by keyword, some of you may be familiar with what was called Boolean search or Boolean operators. So it's ways, specific kind of search techniques you can use to build out a more complex search and get more specific results. Just for those who are familiar with Boolean searching, LinkedIn supports all Boolean operators. If you're not familiar with Boolean search, just know that it's a search technique you can use. If you want to learn more, just Google Boolean search. You'll find out about using and. So I want to look for someone who's works for Google and is based in London, for example. You can have and or not as the operators. You can use their inverted commas to search for an exact words or exact phrase that are contained within those speech marks. There's a couple of other operators that you can use, but just ways the search technique you can use, but just know that that's fully supported on LinkedIn if you know how to use that or interested in knowing how to use that. There's also, when you do the search, there's also some very simple filters that will come up on the left after you hit search first. There's some very simple filters that will come up on the left-hand side of the page that you can use to, again, to refine your search to help you find the right people that you want to be able to look at their profiles and reach out to them. So when you do reach out to people, after you click connect, this is the same when you do it. So the example here, the visual is showing you doing it on desktop, but the same process, same workflow if you're doing it on mobile as well. After you click connect, you can send your invitation immediately. So you see here it says send invitation in blue, or you can personalize. Also, that's after the screen. You can send now or personalize. If you click personalize, if you don't know the person, I would strongly recommend personalizing the invitation by selecting add note, because if you're reaching out to someone who you don't know, reaching out to them cold, certainly for me these days, if I get someone just reaching out saying they want to connect with me with no context, no reason why, if I don't know the person, I'll just ignore it and say no, decline that. So just giving that bit of context about why you're reaching out to them, what you saw about their profile, why you think it could be useful for the two of you to connect, or maybe reminding them that you met at an event a few weeks ago, or whatever it might be. Just giving that bit of context about why you're reaching out, why it would be helpful for the two of you to connect. Really, really important. So strongly recommend always adding that personalized message, especially when you don't know the person. If it's someone you've worked with for 20 years and you're sat next to each other, obviously no need to add a personal note or message, but reaching out cold, strongly recommend adding that personal context. And then mentions this kind of concept of expanding your network strategically. So strategically, kind of, you can just think of that really as being thoughtfully building out your network in a way that's going to be helpful to you now, but also, and again, for yourselves, but also for young people, the network's going to be helpful for you now, but it's also going to help support your career goals and development, where you aspire to go to over the next 2, 5, 10 years, etc. And so think about who you might want to reach out to. So it might be people you've got something in common with, people who work at a job or work at a company that interests you to go and work there yourself in the future. Might you want to reach out to people who can help connect you to others, to better connect you to someone who can help you achieve your goals, whether that's with a new job, a new company, a new career, whether that's to learn something new or different. Anything that you want to kind of connect with others for, you can think about expanding your network strategically to help support that goal and objective. And then what you should say in that message, the basics, so who you are, how you came across their profile, what is interesting, useful, relevant about their profile to you, and how you might also be able to be helpful to them. So here it focuses, it says how they can help you, but I would also recommend thinking about making that mutually beneficial, how they can help you, but also potentially how you might be able to add value to them as well. So the next section there, looking at your network to connect to opportunity. So how you can message connections, particularly for young people, but could also be relevant for yourselves, asking for informational kind of interviews, requesting referrals, recommendations. And a really, really key point on LinkedIn, I think, is about this idea of adding value to people in your network and engaging with your network. So again, another little statistic about the value in your network and referrals, recommendations, LinkedIn members, 4 times more likely to get hired when they're referred. When they're referred by somebody in their network for a job, 4 times more likely to get hired. So again, emphasizing that power of relationships, network, and connections. I won't play the actual video here. There's when you have the slides, you better click on it. It's like a 2-minute kind of video of a girl called Lauren, how she works on LinkedIn, used her network to help her get a particular job. But one of the things you can do is message connections. So when you're so we looked before at who sending that connection request. When you've sent that connection request to somebody and they've accepted it, then you're what we call first degree connections, and you can message for free all of your first degree connections. A little side tip as well, if you're in the same group as someone, you can often message them, even if you're not connected, you can often message them directly for free as well. That depends on how they've got it set up in their profile and their settings, but a lot of people leave it open that if they're in the same group as someone, they're open to being having messages from those people in the same groups. So first degree connections, you can message them directly for free, which is really powerful. So you can send them the messages to or from the messaging page on LinkedIn, your connections page, their profile page, and as you mentioned before, if you don't know the person, give them that context as to why you might be reaching out. So particularly for young people, may also be relevant for some of you potentially, asking for this idea of asking for informational interviews. I do a lot of these sessions with young people. We've had lots of young people joining kind of panels and helping deliver these sessions to groups of young people. And whilst it's not going to be 100% success rate with asking for an informational interview, it never ceases to amaze me how often, when reached out to in the right way, how often people will respond positively to having like a virtual coffee, for example. So an informational interview or conversation is often helpful for young people to gain advice on their chosen career path, to learn about a particular industry or company that they're interested in. It helps them build their brand with that person or people who work at the companies or industries they're interested in. But really, really powerful thing to do. So reaching out to people to request those, I say you won't get a 1-for-1 kind of success rate, but it never ceases to amaze me how open people are on LinkedIn to helping support others, to help to provide value to their network, and to give a bit of time, particularly since we've had Teams and Zoom or whatever for virtual coffees. Very, very simple to get 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. I probably wouldn't push it no more than 30 minutes as a first kind of request if you don't know the person you're reaching out to for an informational interview, but if you keep it about that 15, 20 kind of mark, amazing how many people will respond and be open to do that, to spend a little bit of time to help you understand more about their particular role, how they got there, their company, their industry, etc. So it's a really powerful tip for young people in particular, but could also be relevant for yourselves. You can also request referrals to particular jobs. So again, the example on the left of this being done, asking for job referral by reaching out to your connections and companies you intend to apply to. So if you're going to do that, some kind of basic, fairly obvious tips include why you're interested in that specific role, that particular company, and immediately kind of reflecting up front your appreciation for your connections' consideration of your request for them to refer you. As many of you will know, there's often some kind of incentive for people to make referrals as well, because often companies will have, certainly corporate companies in the private sector will often have referral schemes internally. So if people refer someone who goes on to get hired, then the employee making the referral will get some kind of fee, some kind of payment from the company. It could be from a few £100s to some companies have a couple of £1,000 as a kind of thank you for referring someone good into the company. And then the stat at the bottom there, so I think it's US stat, but would be probably, as expected, a little bit less over here in the UK, but kind of similar. But US, more than 60% of the workforce has referred someone to work at their company. So people, again, approached in the right way, very open to having that conversation, understanding more about you, and then making that referral if they consider that you would be a good fit, could add value to that organisation. You can also request recommendations from people in your network. So they're like references from people in your network. So on a connections profile, they've got the tips here now in terms of how to do it. So on the connections profile, click more and then request a recommendation. Shows a little screenshot of the workflow on the left-hand side, but it will you can select your relationship with this person, whether you worked with them in a particular role, whether they're your manager, colleague, etc. And then think about who you should ask to recommend me. So it could be current or former managers, it could be colleagues, even those not directly on your team, but people you might have worked closely with on projects or what have you. If you've had a situation where you've been a mentor or even a mentee, or folks have been advised you professionally some way, it could also be through non-profit work, voluntary work, any of those kind of people who can provide a recommendation that could help you to best showcase you as a professional person, your skills, knowledge, expertise, your character, your integrity. Any of those kind of things could be important to get recommendations for, particularly for young people, to help them build credibility, to differentiate themselves from others who might be applying for the same jobs or the same places at university, etc. A simple way to do that, shown here. And then I mentioned at the outset of this section about, for me, I think one of the most important things is about adding value and engaging with your network. So investing some time in your connections. It's got here the example of requesting informational interviews, but also really important, think about liking content and sharing things that people in your network are likely to care about. So you can, most websites these days, when you look at an article, a blog post, whatever, there'll be the little icons typically at the top and bottom of the article or the blog posts for you to be able to share that onto social platforms. So if you just click on the in logo for LinkedIn, it will come up with a little dialog box. You can just share the article as it is, or you can add some commentary as to what you loved about it, what you found interesting about it, maybe ask your network some questions based on some of the information that was in that article. But that's a really powerful thing to do to show things that you're interested in, that you care about, to add value to people in your network. And when you're active on the platform and kind of liking and sharing these kind of things, that helps you remain visible to people in your network as well. So it helps you stay more top of mind in the minds of your network and your connections, as and when opportunities come up on their side that you could be a good fit for. Joining groups, exchanging insights with the school, that's the American term, I forgot to edit that one, I should say university, with university or program kind of alumni. And also think about giving back to your network in terms of if they ask you for testimonials or recommendations, like you may reach out to others to ask them to recommend you. Be open to giving those recommendations to people if they ask the same favour from you as well. Again, assuming you'd have something positive to say, or otherwise maybe some constructive feedback could also be helpful to provide that subtly or directly to the person, if that would be the appropriate context. And then moving on to nearly coming towards the kind of final sections here. So searching for jobs, internships and universities. So you can show recruiters that you're hashtag open to work. So very easy to do from your profile. So if you are in that phase of job seeking, you can show that you're open to work. You can do it discreetly or more overtly. Discreetly is just telling LinkedIn that you're open to work and you just want to let recruiters know. And then that will not be published on your profile. It's just recruiters who have corporate recruiter licenses, which is the product we sell to in-house recruitment teams at companies to be able to find the right talent for their businesses. They will be able to see people who are open to work. It's very discreet and just signaled to people outside of your organization that you're open to work. If you want to do it more overtly, more obviously, then you can do both, like let recruiters know, but also you might have seen it on some people's profiles. Around their profile photo would be this green kind of halo which says open to work on it. So a couple of ways you can signal that you're open to work there. You can search for career opportunities, create search alerts, review jobs you may be interested in. You can follow companies, explore universities and alumni. So we'll step through each of those a bit more. In terms of job seekers, another little stat for you, over 50 million job seekers visiting jobs on LinkedIn every single week. So there's tens of millions of jobs on LinkedIn at any point in time. They're anything from internship, grad kind of entry level type positions, all the way through to very senior SVPs, directors, etc. type of roles that you'll find on the platform. So in terms of share the recruiters you're opening to work, how to do that, click get started using the option it's on the top card of your profile. And then you can add job titles, types of jobs, locations that you're interested in. So it's got the little visual going. I didn't build these slides. I couldn't get a nice visual graphic kind of thing going like that. These are from our marketing team, but you can see on the left-hand side how that kind of would look. So you can indicate whether you're available immediately or casually browsing, and whether you want to share that with all LinkedIn members. That's saying that gives you that green kind of halo around it, or whether you want to share it more discreetly just with recruiters. So I'll just hold for a second. You'll see that come up in the visualization on the left again. So just share with recruiters only, or if you go share with all LinkedIn members, then it will put that around your profile photo. You can also search for career opportunities. So top cards, you can see jobs with the briefcase kind of icon. Go in there, then you can search for jobs and use the filter. So you can search for jobs and internships by keywords, job titles, companies, locations, function, the experience levels, how recently the job was posted, a whole range of ways you can search for and filter the right jobs to find the right jobs that you'd be interested in. As you build out those, so if you're actively job seeking, as you build out your searches for different jobs, really powerful thing you can do is to save that search and create a search alert. So rather than having to repeat the search every time to kind of try and find the jobs again, you do your search, save it, and turn on a job alert. And then it will give you a few options of whether you want to be notified daily, weekly, not at all, but it's at least saved it, so you can come back and just click on the link to rerun it. That's a really powerful way to save your work, to be more efficient, effective, and also to get like the system working for you. So if you set it up to notify you daily or weekly, whatever's the right kind of frequency, anytime a new job comes onto the platform that matches your search criteria, you're going to get notified that day or at the end of each week or whatever, however you set it up. And as we talked about, you've got all those powerful filters that you can use in the search bar to create the alerts by the keywords, experience level, state posted function, etc. As you search for and find jobs that you might be interested in, or sort of review the jobs you may be interested in sections, this is algorithmic recommendations. So based on your profile, your skills, your work experience, academic qualifications, location, etc. What's called the jobs you may be interested in algorithm. So it's an algorithm that runs, it's just called jobs you may be interested in, but it's going to algorithmically recommend jobs, roles, careers that might be interesting to you that you might not have thought about. So it might be a different company, different industry, and the algorithm will know a lot about the skills you've got, the skills that are required for these different jobs, and be able to pick up what kind of transferable skills, what skills you've got that are also skills in common with this particular job that you might not have even made the connection yourself. That actually, because I've done customer service, for example, there's a lot of the skills that I have in customer service that are also relevant to a lot of different sales jobs. For example, the algorithm will know that and say what you might find in the jobs you may be interested in section is jobs you wouldn't have thought about necessarily, but actually you've got a lot of the skills and qualifications for, so they could well be worth exploring. So again, might be useful for yourselves, but certainly useful for younger people. You can also follow companies. So you search for particular companies you might be interested in working for at one point in time. When you go on the company page, you can see here there's a Starbucks page, the blue follow button. So if you click on that blue follow button, then you're then following Starbucks. So what happens then is you'll see updates that they share from their company page, which will keep you up to date with things they've got going on, awards, things they're doing kind of professionally, career opportunities. And specifically for career opportunities, when you're following them, when they post jobs that are relevant to you, that you'll be notified about that in your what you call your update stream. So on your homepage on LinkedIn, all the updates from people you've connected with, your network, your connections, the companies you follow, etc. We call that your update stream. You'll be notified in your update stream about jobs that the company has posted that you might be interested in. And something released quite recently as well, on the company page for companies you're interested in now, you can actually now, even if they haven't got a job that's relevant to you right now, there's a new button that you can click on, which, what does it say? It says, I'll have to go and double check. It says something like interested in working for you. So you can register your interest in working for that company. So you're not applying to a specific job, but you're letting them know that you would be interested in the possibility of working for them. And so what that does on the back end, the recruiters in that company will be able to see that people who have said they're interested in working for a company. So if they get a new vacancy in, that's one of the filters they'll use first to find people who've already expressed an interest in working for the company and then reach out to them directly. So it's a really powerful way for companies who are interested in working for, just to signal that fact that I'm interested in working for this particular organisation. I'm just going to try very quickly offline to have a look at exactly what that's called. If I could find some people who are not just LinkedIners. Let's have a quick look here. It's loading very slowly while I'm on the Teams call. I'll try and find that in the, oh, there we go, it's just coming up. So, I'm not immediately seeing it. I'll find out what it is and I'll include it in the follow-up message so you can know exactly what the button's called, but you'll see it quite obviously on the company page, that you can register you're interested in working for that company. So same concept applies for universities. So if you're interested, if young people are interested in going to university, LinkedIn is a very powerful place to research universities, because not just will you be able to find a university page on LinkedIn, so you'll be able to find the page, see the latest kind of news and information from that university, might be one you've attended or one you're interested in going to. So when searching for universities, that's the American term of schools, is what they would use to search for and find universities. One of the really powerful things you can do when you find the universities, and can be really helpful when thinking about what kind of careers people have after they go to particular universities, is you can explore the alumni of those universities. So you can look at the career paths taken by the alumni of that particular university. So when you go onto the schools page, the university page, as you'll see in the image on the left-hand side here, there's the alumni section. So if you go in the alumni section, you can then see alumni of, in this case, San Jose State University, where they live, where they work. If you kind of click next to scroll across, there's more information you can see on the kind of companies, functions, etc. that they work at. And each of those bars is a clickable filter. So if you're particularly interested in people working in a certain location, country, city, whatever, you can click on that, refine it down that way. And you can get down to finding the individual or seeing some of the profiles of people who went to that university and now work at those particular companies. So that can give you a bit of a sense of what did those people from that university go on to do career-wise, but it can also help people when they're thinking about what kind of skills, experience, etc. they need to get to the kind of job they might ultimately aspire to. So if someone maybe is aspiring to be a chief marketing officer at some point in their future kind of date in their career, they can find people who went to university and now working as a chief marketing officer, and then what was the experience they got to help them get up the ladder to that point, which can provide really valuable guidance for someone in terms of how they think about managing their career. Then join groups. We touched on groups earlier, over 2.9 million groups on LinkedIn. You can search them through the search bar at the top of the page and then filter by groups. So you might want to join groups for professionals in your industry, might be alumni groups related to your university or training programs, could be on teaching, kind of academic kind of topics that you'll find groups that you might want to join and network about. A huge range of groups that are available. When you join the groups, some are completely open, so anyone can join. Some will be semi-closed, so you have to apply to join, like register you're interested in joining that group, and then the owner of that group will have a look at your profile and see if you look like you're the right kind of person, professional to add value to that group, and then accept you if you are. And then there's completely closed groups where you have to be specifically invited to be able to join that group. But millions of groups there, so well worth exploring those and finding ones that sound interesting, and then see what's going on in them and how much value you get from them, and obviously stay in the ones that are useful and valuable. And if one's not quite what you thought it was going to be, then just leave that group. No one's going to be offended or particularly notified about that. But a good way to play around and find good groups that you can use that help you get the kind of access to different people, to different ideas, different thoughts. You can post questions in groups and get answers. It's a really powerful kind of community to be part of. And then final kind of content slide is just on the privacy settings. So just to flag that you've got really granular controls over your profile, the information on your profile. Obviously, to start with, what's in your profile is only the information that you put in your profile. So you obviously control what goes into your profile in the first place. But with the information in your profile, you've got really granular controls over what happens to it, how people can contact you, security, verification, the language you use on LinkedIn, etc. So it's just a flag for you that this section is there. You can get to it through clicking on that me icon and then privacy and settings. And then I'd just suggest going and having a look around in there and just checking that everything is set up and in a way that works for you, and particularly for young people. If you might think about kind of safeguarding kind of questions, etc., then again, just guiding them on what's there, how they can think about their profile, how they can set it up so who can see their full profile or not, what information is shared when they make certain updates. Good for them to be aware of, and just be conscious about the choices they make, so it works for them in the way they want it to work. And with that, that's the end of the kind of formal content. So if I stop sharing, I can see more faces on there. So happy, we've got 5 minutes left, so happy to take any questions or comments or whatever from the virtual room. I always love this initial period of stunned silence when asked for questions. I'm sure if that's a question in chat. So if you're not comfortable kind of coming off mute, feel free to pop the question in chat. Okay, no questions there, but if you want to type a question in chat, feel free to. Otherwise, feel free to raise your hand or just come off mute and speak, whichever you're most comfortable with. So the minimum age you can join.
Everything really well, Mark.
That's the key, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there is anything that anybody thinks of, sorry, I'll turn my camera back on. You can always get in touch with us, and we can push that back to Mark again. But thank you so much. I think there was some really good stuff in there that I didn't know. I thought I knew about LinkedIn, but now I know there's a few things I don't know. So I'm going to have another little play on there. I think joining groups is a really good idea. And if anybody is brand new and you're going to set up your profile, follow the Careers Hub. That's the first thing that you can do, is connect with us, and then you'll see that we post things quite regularly and we'll be able to tag you and stuff. The slides from today I'll put onto our website. They'll be there in the same section where you book on to come to the webinar. But we're having part 2 in January with Mark, which is the first week back. So it's Tuesday, the 9th of January. We'll send out reminders again, but the link to book is also on our web page on the webinar. There we go. Laura's put it in the chat, so you can book straight on there now. Right. Thank you so much. We've never finished 3 minutes early before.
So actually, there's one quick question in there, which in chat, which I'll just cover from Louise about the minimum age you can join. So minimum age, I think legally now it's 12. Is the minimum age for LinkedIn in the UK. Personally, obviously, if kids that young want to join, feel free. But I'd personally say I think that kind of it starts becoming a more useful, valuable platform when they get to kind of 15, 16, probably 16-ish, when they start thinking about GCSEs and then maybe if they're not going to go on to A levels or university, and if they start thinking about finding jobs and getting out to the world of work, then it becomes particularly relevant there. Otherwise, kind of year 11 to year 13 becomes more, I think, because it's very much the professional context as we talked about. I think 16, year 11 to 13, 16 upwards kind of becomes a more useful platform. So my kids are 15 and 13, and I haven't told them. They both know a lot about LinkedIn, obviously, because of me banging on about it every day, but working there. But they haven't got profiles yet. But they both want to go Massey. So our eldest wants to go A levels and probably university. See whether that happens or not. But he will get a profile when he's like 16, 17, when he's starting to get to that kind of point of thinking about what next, and helps him with begin to set himself out for interviews for university if that's somewhere he wants to go, or for jobs or whatever it might be. But yeah, minimum 12, but I'd say typically I'd say 16 up probably to be actually useful and valuable for them.
I think if they follow the businesses that they're interested in potentially doing apprenticeships with, then those businesses post dates for applications and deadlines and things like that. So it's a good way of finding out stuff immediately. Sometimes it's difficult with those big companies. You've got to dig around for the information, but it's all there on LinkedIn. Very current. Right, nothing else has appeared, has it? No. Right, thank you so much, Mark. We'll see you in January. Have a lovely winter break, everybody. See you in 2024.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you,
Have a
Mark.
great break over
Bye.
Christmas,
Thank
everyone.
you.
See you in Jan.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Next. Charlotte, you still recording?
You're on your things down. I can't hear.